Hello everyone, and welcome to another Scriptcase tutorial. Today we're going to be looking at emailing an entire grid to an email address. So as you can see here, I have a grid, and I have an email button right here, and I'm just going to demo how this works. So let me click this. I can enter an email address. Any valid email address will work. So I'm going to type in my email address, necarpenter@gmail.com. Click OK. It pops up a little dialog box while it's sending, and then a little message up here that it was successfully sent. So if I go over now to my email, here's my Gmail, I'm going to click on the email, there it is. And there we have our grid with all the styling and coloring all set up. So if you're doing this like me and using SMTP to send from my Gmail account, you need to change some security settings on your Gmail to make this work. So we need to go up here to my settings, click Manage My Google Account, wait for that to load. And then here are my settings. I need to go to the security tab over here. And then I need to turn on two-step verification. So that's already turned on. You could click on that and turn that on. So that's going to use SMS verification or some type of app on your phone. And then you need to set up an app password. So since SMTP does not support two-step verification, we need to set a special password that works only for that app. So I click App Password here, log in. And there is a Scriptcase password I already created. If I want to create another one, I just need to select which app, mail, and then select the device, other, and then I can name it to be whatever I want, and then I can generate the password, and there is a password I can use. I already have one, so I don't need this one. I'm going to go ahead and delete it here. So delete it, and I'll use my Scriptcase one in the code that I'm going to show you in a little bit. So let's go over to Scriptcase and get started with this. Okay, so here we are in the Scriptcase development environment, and I'm in the samples project, and I've got a grid already set up. This is just a very basic grid from the customers table with some options stripped off, like the buttons and things. I just want one button. Now I'm going to create a new button. This is going to be the email button. So I'm going to show you two ways of doing this. The first way is a purely PHP way, and very simple, and the other way is going to be a little more complicated. So I'm going to name my button and make sure it's a PHP button. And the first thing I need to do is, let's go ahead and run this and see what it looks like. And we need to get the path for this as well, the path for this application. So I'm going to run it and wait for it to load here. And here is our grid with our button right there. So that's our button, but we need to get the path for this. So I need to copy that whole path so that we can get the contents of that file to send via email. So now that I've got that path there, I'm going to use the file get contents function from PHP and make sure that the path is correct. Make sure it's named correctly here. Let me put in demo here, so make sure this path is fully correct. And there is our path, and now we can get the contents out and save them in a variable called HTML. Once that is set up, then we can actually send the email. So Scriptcase makes this easy to send an SMTP email. First, we need to set up all the settings. So this chunk of code here is all the settings. So we set the server, Gmail. The user, that's my username, necarpenter@gmail.com. The password, that's that app password that we set up. And then the mail from, that's the from address, my email again. And then the to address is going to be my email as well for now. And then we can set up the subject of the email and then the message. That's going to be HTML. That's the contents we get out of the page. The format is going to be H for HTML as opposed to text. And then if we wanted to send copies or blind carbon copies, we could put those addresses in there, set the port, so 465 is the port we need, and then the connection. So we're going to use S, so it's a secure connection. Then we just need to pass them all into the SC mail send macro right there, all those settings, and then Scriptcase will take care of the rest of it and send it as an actual SMTP email. So let's go ahead and run this. This should work now. So this is just a basic version. It's not going to look all nice, but it will work. So I click the button. It's going to email it to my email address, and it's ran, so I can click OK to go back. So there I am now. Let's go back to my email and go ahead and open up that email. There it is. So there is our grid. So that's just the very basic form of it. As you can see, there's no styling with it. There's no coloring. It's just a basic HTML table. And if I click this, you can see it actually is viewing as from me because it's using SMTP. So to get this to look more like the actual grid, we need to copy in the style sheet. So to get it with those colors and the styling and everything, it needs to use the actual style sheet, but that is not coming through with the file get contents. So we need to convert it using this library. So this is the email griffer library, and it converts CSS styles from a style sheet file into inline style attributes in your HTML code. So that's the style equals and then all the styling right there in the HTML code, so we don't have to worry about any external files. So I've got this over inside of my Scriptcase development environment here, and if I go up to Tools here, in External Libraries, that's where I put it. So let me show you where I've put it. You can download it from the GitHub page. And there it is right there, the email griffer library, and I can edit that and view the files there. And there's a folder right here, email griffer. We run into that, and then into the classes folder is the file we actually need. So that emailgriffer.php is the file we need to include inside of our application. So I'm going to create a new application. This is going to be a blank application. And the function of this is just to send the email and format it correctly. So this is going to be called from our grid. So I'm going to name the blank application here. Make sure it's named correctly with the underscores there so that my code works. Click Create. And a blank application is just a place to put some code. You can put really anything you want in it. So here is our blank application with some place to put some code. And so let's start with this. So the first thing we need to do is include the email griffer library in this. So let me copy in some code to do that. So this is the sc include library function in Scriptcase. And this is a project library, the email griffer library, and then the path to that file that I just showed you a minute ago. So the email griffer library, it's in that folder, classes, and then emailgriffer.php. So I go into the classes folder, and there is that file that we're including. So now that is included in this application, and we can use it here. So the next thing we need to do is copy this bit of code right here. This is going to get the contents. This is going to be just like before. So copy that in here. And that's going to get the contents of the grid, and then we need to get the style sheet of the grid as well. So I'm going to copy in one more line that's very similar. And here it is. We're getting the content of that style sheet. So this is the theme, the sweet blue theme that we're using for this. You have to change that to whatever theme that you're using. And that'll get the CSS for that. So we'll save that in another variable called CSS. And then we can pass that to email griffer to convert into inline styles. So now we just need to get the variable for the email address out of the post variables. So this is going to be passed through when we call it from the grid. So we're just checking if the email is set, and if it is, then you set it equal to that email field from the post variable right there. Now we can start using the email griffer library to combine the HTML and the CSS. So let me save our application, and let me copy in just a little bit more code here. Okay, so we're going to first create an email griffer object right here using that. And then we're going to set the HTML equal to our HTML file and the CSS equal to our CSS file. So if you want to see more of this, you can look at the email griffer documentation. And then we're going to set the body equal to the email griffer body content, and that's automatically going to combine it then into one file. And then let's copy some more code to actually send this email. So this is going to be much like before. They're all combined now. That's really all we need from the email griffer library to do that. And so now this looks very similar to what we did before with the PHP version, except the mail2 is going to be our email variable. It's all parameterized now, and the body is going to be the body from the email griffer body content function. Everything else is the same. We use the semail send macro to send that. And we're also going to build in some error checking here to make sure there wasn't any issues with sending the email. So I'm going to copy in a couple more lines of code so that we can tell our grid application whether or not the email was successfully sent. So here's this. So there's this scmail OK variable that's set via the scmail send macro here. And that's going to tell us, that's just a Boolean that's going to tell us if it was sent successfully. If it was, it's going to echo 1, which will be picked up by our grid application. Otherwise, it'll echo 0 so that we know that there is an error. And we'll check that over on the grid side of this. So now this is all set up. Let's go ahead and generate this code so that it's ready to be used and called for our grid application. So now we need to go over to our grid application and call our blank application. So we're going to create a new button. This is going to be a JavaScript button. And we're going to name it email, click create. And this is going to be JavaScript code. And this is going to be some Ajax code that we're going to set up here. We're going to call it via Ajax. So let me copy in some code to do that. So first we need to put a prompt up to enter the email address. So it's going to ask the user to enter their email, and it's going to save that value in the email variable. And then we check if it was set. If it was not, then we're just going to exit out and do nothing. Otherwise, we're going to execute some code here. So this is going to be where we actually call our blank application, and we're going to do some messaging here. So here's some more code here. And this is our Ajax call. So we're going to focus on that first. We've got a little bit more before this, but we're going to focus on this. It's going to be post. We're calling that blank address, the email, is going to be the value from the email prompt, and it's going to be sent through as a post and picked up there in the blank application. So pass that through, and then on success, it's going to execute this function with the return value that was output by the blank application. So that's all of this. So here are some UI elements that we're going to add in a little bit. So we have a sending div that we're going to hide, and also an error div that we're going to hide slowly. And then the background we're going to hide, and the loading area we're going to hide too. So we're going to set that up in a minute, and you'll understand what those are. Then we're going to check the return, and remember if we output 1, it was okay. So we're going to show the sending very slowly and the error slowly as well. I'm going to hide that. And then we're going to set a timeout on the sending. So after 4,000 milliseconds, it's going to disappear. Otherwise, if it was not successful, we're going to hide the sending and show the error section of that. And then also set a timeout on the error section that's a little bit shorter, just 2,000 milliseconds right there. And then lastly, we're going to log the return down here at the bottom, so that we can use that for debugging if we need it. Now we just need to show some more UI elements here in the else. So let me copy that code in, just a couple lines here. So this is when it first gets called. We're going to show this background area and then show the loading area as well. That's going to show a little rotating circle and everything to make it look nice. So that's all set up and ready to work. Let me close out the curly braces there, and that should work. Now we just need to add in those UI elements that we called in our JavaScript. So to do that, we need to set up all these UI elements here. So to do that, we need to go over to events, and then the onHeader event. This is going to be in the header. So when the header is loading, and let me copy in some code. So there's a good amount of mostly HTML code here. So we're closing up the PHP section. We're loading the Bootstrap CSS library. We're going to be using that. Then we have our sending div, and that's just going to say successfully sent. Your email was sent. And then the error. So if there's an error, it's going to show this div saying when there was an error when sending. And then we have a background area right over here that's set display none for right now, and we're going to show that. That's going to be a background area for everything, and then a loading area. That's going to show our loading circle there, and then some text in there in the second div saying we're sending the email with an ellipses after it. So lots of styles there with that loading circle. So that's going to display over top of the page, on top of everything, and then disappear after so long. So now the UI set up, the back end of this is set up with the programming code. Let's go ahead and run this and see if it works. Let's run this. And so we have our new button here. The email PHP is the old one, and the email is the new one. So we click that, we get the prompt for our email, type that in. So I'm going to type in my email address again, click OK. And there we go, it's successfully sent. There's our message, that looks nice. Go ahead and go back to my email, open up the new email, there it is. And there's our grid looking nice with all the styling and everything all set up. So that's basically how you send a grid with Scriptcase using the email griffer library if you want some extra styling or just a basic SMTP HTML table. So I hope this is helpful for you. I hope you can use it in your own development, and I'll see you in the next tutorials.